All right. All right. This is my very first live. I have no idea how this is going to work, so we're going to just give this a shot. I'm coming to you live from my kitchen table. So, yeah. So let's get a whole lot of people on here. Hopefully, we'll have more and more people come on. We will find out here in a moment. And let me say this, I want to dive right into some training, just right off the bat for the folks that have been here on time, get right into some training. So I want to talk to you before I take any of your questions about something that I'm writing about right now. It's going to be the center part of a big course that I'm creating. And I want to talk to you about the importance of psychological consent. Now, that may sound a little tricky, especially in today's age, but consent in a different way. You need to be able to give your prospect consent to buy something. So when you are writing copy, when you're creating an offer, there are phrases that you can use that will intellectually, psychologically, subconsciously give your prospect consent to buy. And what do I mean by that? I mean that everyone has to believe that they can actually do something, that the decisions that they make are valid, that they can do something to change their life for the better, that they're capable of changing their lives. So if you think about just those three elements, how few people really believe that are hitting a site based on here's how you write copy, or here's how you lose weight, or here's how you repair your marriage, or whatever. They're having a lot of doubts about these very things that we're talking about. So they don't have psychological consent. They're watching you, and they're at the same time they're listening to your copy or reading your copy. They're saying to themselves, yeah, that might work for some people, but not me. And this is a very common objection, probably the most common objection. And the way to overcome it is by giving psychological consent. Now, you can do that with some really cool psychological triggers that we're going to talk about. Here are some phrases that you can use, pretty straightforward stuff. And before I get into those phrases, I want to say hi to people. So I want to talk to some people here. Hey, hello, Fahim. Hello, Mio. Hello, Magic. If I'm misspelling or mispronouncing your names, this is not intentional. So how's everybody doing? We're getting more and more people coming on. This is good. So yeah, so we're going to talk about, and we'll get to questions here in a moment. Bear with me because it's my first time to ever do one of these live. So it's all Greek. It's all Greek to me, man. Hey Jeff, what's going on? Or let's see, Armando. I think that's how, Armando. If that's not it, you can correct me. So psychological consent. Think about what you need someone to believe about themselves in order to be okay with making a change. So if someone says, I've tried everything, I feel this way, I feel terrible, their predominant feeling hitting any website that solves a problem is pain. It's not joy. Very rarely, unless you're selling something that's like, hippy dippy, all is about joy, then that's great. Most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, I've been frustrated with this, etc. So one of the very first things that you need to do to increase the psychological consent factor is a process called validation. So validation is also really great to use in relationships, FYI. So you can use this on your partner if you have one, and I think that you'll find that he or she responds really well to this. Validation is a very simple thing to do. When somebody says, I feel X, all you need to do to validate them is to say, I understand why you would feel X. That's really it. Now, in copy, it's a little trickier than that. What you have to say is, if you are feeling X or Y or even Z, and each of those feelings are really pretty different, or maybe you're just curious and you want to know more about whatever topic you're talking about, whether it's weight loss or copywriting or whatever, that's perfectly understandable. I completely understand why you would feel that way. Makes complete sense. In fact, it wouldn't make any sense if you didn't feel that way after all the things that you've been through. So when you say that to somebody, think about how different that is psychologically, as opposed to saying, for example, your wife comes home and says, I feel so confused about my fitness program. I feel very, very confused about it. And you're like, well, just straighten it out. You'll figure it out. Or, well, here's a book you should read, right? You try to solve the problem. But what she's looking for is validation. She's looking to say, yeah, I can understand. That's a little confusing. So here's something that I found that helps. And just starting with, I can understand why you find that or feel that way, is monumental. But what I'm also doing is I'm opening the subconscious mind a little bit to where in the conscious mind to being more receptive to some suggestions and to an offer if I'm selling something. Obviously, I'm not selling anything to my wife, but So that is how validation works. That's the very first process of that. And there's some other stuff we'll talk about later called empathy mapping and how we go about doing that. But it's all about giving consent to buy. Phrases that you're going to use throughout a VSL or a sales letter or even an email series that says, yeah, I get it. It makes complete sense. And if you can say this, it's even better. I was once where you were. I completely understand it. I was where you are right now. Maybe better, maybe worse. You can decide after you hear my story. But all of that is very soothing, very validating. And somebody will hear that. And most people will think, I'm in the right place. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes any sense at all. So, all right. So cool. Mohit says it's 4:35 a.m. Man, that you are a total trooper. That is awesome. Okay. All right. Cool deal. So let me see. We're here. So Mia, let me give me 1 second. Let me turn up the brightness on my wife's crazy computer here. Okay. Okay, I don't know. Mila is saying something. You can you can tell it to. You can definitely share it here in the chat. I'm hoping that it's at least rated PG. So Jeff, what's going on from New Zealand? Of course, it's Jeff because you spell your name like a New Zealander. All right, cool. All right, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Check out Firm's comments. So let me scroll up here. Oh, cool. Well, yeah, you should definitely still book private session with me because it's not going to be the same thing as going live. But yeah, definitely email support@jonbenson.com if you want some more questions about that, or I'm happy to talk to you while I'm here. So yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, the sense of unity sells. Okay, so that's a great comment here. So Mio says the sense of unity sells. So what is it about unity that makes someone more prone to buy? And what I'm going to challenge everyone to believe here is it's because they've been given consent. There's a mental switch that flips when somebody has affirmational statements thrown at them, and it's not bullshit. In other words, you're not just saying stuff just to fluff the pie. You know what I'm saying? You're saying stuff that's true for you, and it comes across as authentic, and you really are seeking to understand. So this whole process does not work if you, as a copywriter, do not seek first to understand, as you should do in relationships. And if you're wondering why I'm doing all these parallels to relationships, it's not just because I just got married and so it's clearly on my mind, but it's because I've been studying relationships for the last 15 years. I've been writing in the space. I know quite a bit about the topic. And what's fascinating about it to me is how people are they're not catching the correlation between an intimate relationship that you might have and a buying relationship. Now, it's a different degree of intimacy, let's hope, unless you're Harvey Weinstein or something. It's a totally different degree of intimacy, and even then, that's completely not intimate, but that was a joke. But here's the thing. It's a very similar process. It's like when you are talking to a prospect, you are courting them. You don't want to come right out of the gate and go, hey, do you want to go sleep with me? That's kind of what people do with selling is they go, hey, thanks for updating my list. Now go buy this stuff. Right? That's just jumping the gun. You got to court a little bit. You have to make someone feel comfortable. And how you make them feel comfortable, the best way, in my opinion, is not to compliment them. It's to say, I understand you. I want to understand you. If you feel this or this, it makes complete sense to me. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to help. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So you're welcome. Hey, Kayvon, good to have you here. Yeah, wow, cool. Awesome. I'm reading this at the reading stage here. Yeah, really. Thanks for being that diligent. That's very true. Hey, Dean, what's going on? What is the minimum sales price for a product today? Minimum sale price? I think that you probably mean something more specific than that, because I mean, obviously, a product can go from all over the map here. But if you're talking about like a digital product, can you be more specific here? Yeah, married together. That's good. My wife is Russian, so she's not into that. But this is good. Yeah, post your first question again here, Mio, if you can. It's yeah. Okay, yeah. So you're saying that her people selling to sell products online for $50, which seems way too low. No, I mean we sell stuff for $7. There's the tripwires are commonly $7. You can do dollar trials of things. I think you're referring to more of a back end kind of thing. Like, in other words, you have to have so much. If you're driving traffic or something, you're going to have enough money to make that traffic work, and that's going to require some back end strategies and things like that. But the front end can be really low. I mean, one of our clients that I work with, one of my clients I work with, or I worked with for a long time, they were selling. They did $100 million. They're going to do $100 million this year, and their funnel starts with a free ebook. So it's zero, and it goes to a $35 product. So yeah, it's the funnels are everything, man. All right, cool. So yeah, we see. Yeah, capture creative VSL, spirituality, niche German market, with a 1.2 CR in cold traffic, price point 97. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, that's not bad for cold traffic. That's good. The only question you got to ask is, does it make you money? Well, I mean, that's not the only question, but when it comes to marketing, that's what you're going to ask. Okay. So you're talking about Mio's question was originally how to get gigs at clients as a freelance writer. So there's going to be a course that I'm coming out with that will involve several friends of mine. One of them is an expert in getting clients. So let me give you the full disclaimer here first, the caveat. I've never had to worry about that because I created video sales letters and I was getting clients before I was even a copywriter, so I don't feel at all capable or qualified to answer that question in full. I don't think it's a fair thing for me to ask for me to answer. So, but I will tell you what Jay teaches, at least in part, and it's a pretty easy strategy to use. And it's just something it's routine. So if you think about like how many times you have to ask someone for something before you get it, it's a lot usually, right? So the same thing is true of how many people do you need to email a day to get a gig, right? Well, so you can find companies that are hiring right now on Elance, on any of the Elance, the freelancer sites, and there are companies that are looking to hire a full-time copywriter. What you can do is email that company and say, hey, listen, I'm not available full-time, but I can help you in the interim. I'll be happy to write X for you, or I can try my hand at a few emails. Just that one trick is a really good one. So that's a great place to start. Okay, cool. Typical CRs. You're talking about. I think you're talking about CTRs, click-through rates. Just making sure that you know, because people use different acronyms to describe this stuff. So VSLs for $97. Yeah, it totally depends on the market. I mean, it's 97 is really low for a VSL. I mean, when I say really low, it's like if you're talking like high price point markets, like where you're selling software or your typical 997 product. If you're talking about a VSL, like in a high traffic VSL, like for example, weight loss, where you've got like a $47, $37, $27 offer in the front, then it's perfectly fine. But I need to know more about the market and what your traffic sources are. So please share how you put more emotions in copy. I find it right. Yeah. So logic, what you've heard me say before, and what you'll hear me say 1,000 times, is that people buy from emotion, but they justify with logic. So knowing that is how the process works. That's how your brain works. You don't want to start by, okay, here's all the reasons why XYZ offer is so awesome. It's this, and it's all logic. It's better than this. It will give you, it gets results 3 times faster. I mean, you can do those things and you can build logical benefits and then say, so you can blank, or so that so you can enjoy XYZ. Well, that's the emotion part of it. So one way that you can build emotion into your copy is just the phrase, so you can. Okay, whatever you say, like let's say something really boring, like this phone holder is made out of third-party titanium XYZ steel. Okay, so that's a logical selling point. If anyone cares, I just made this up. So you can what? So you can trust your iPhone never to get scratched and look embarrassing in front of your friends and family. I mean, I'm just making this up as I go here, but that's the so you can thing. So it almost forces you to write more emotionally if you say so you can. So I'm going to give quick answers here tonight, guys. So all right. What about some good U.S. agency to work with? Yeah, I don't know that man. I don't have any idea about that. It's way out of my wheelhouse, man. As far as agencies and copy agencies go, I've never been associated with them. I know guys that that I don't even know. I know one guy that runs an agency, so everybody else I know is freelancers. So it's just a freelance world where I came from. So, all right, yeah, thanks for hitting that like button, folks. That's very helpful. Very, very helpful. Continue to climb on here. That's awesome. So, what physical product should I sell now? I want to create a sales letter and mail it. It's you guys will have to ask very specific questions. That's way too broad. Like, I have no idea what physical product you should create. Can you be more specific? Like, what do you have right now? What's your expertise? What are you passionate about? I can tell you that we're about to release a physical product, and that is a copywriting newsletter. And you guys will be able to subscribe to that because it's going to get you on a call with me once a month. That's going to be pretty cool. We're going to release that in the next month or two. That's a physical product, I mean, not a digital newsletter. Like we're going to mail you a newsletter. Old school, man. Old school. Okay. Okay, guys, hold on one second. I'm having a scroll problem. Getting a lot of questions here. But scrolling. Is that my wife? She's going to come in and say hello, I think. All right. So, okay. Buying rice to sell a back pain German cream. If you can, I mean, it depends on what the legalization is out there as far as what you can say and what you can't say. Out here, if you say back pain, you're shot to hell. Doesn't matter if it works or not. If it's something you can get around compliance-wise, it's a great product. There's a great niche for it, especially obviously if it works. What font do you usually use for VSL creation? Honestly, I use Montserrat a lot, which is not a common font. It's the same font I use for presentations, and it bolds very easily and it's easy to read. But you could read Helvetica or Arial. It doesn't really matter as long as it's. I don't like serif fonts for VSLs. I do just personal preference. But if it's a foo-foo VSL, then maybe it would be better. So. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. PS formula, very simple. Okay, great PS formula. Almost every email you send out should have a PS. Not all of them because it gets old. But if you send an email, put a PS in it and say PS. Reread that second paragraph because it contains vital information. Or you can say anything, but direct them back to the second or third or fourth paragraph, whatever it be. It's the paragraph that says something very important with a hyperlink in it. So it might say like, one of the best things I've ever done for copywriting is take this copywriting course by Jon Benson. It's hyperlinked, right? So I tell them, reread that paragraph. So I'll make sure that second paragraph has a link in it that's hyperlinked in the text, right? And has something that is very valuable. So I won't just say like, go buy this, because that would be lame. That's my favorite PS trick. All right, cool. So give me a second here. What emotion? First paragraph. If you're dealing with first paragraphs, that's a great question. So I like to start off most of the time when I can with things that are negative. So it sounds horrible, but people respond better to fear often than pleasure. So negative emotions, like things that are like, like if the constant worry of not being able to pay your bills is dragging you down, and you have, you have worries over, you fret over your wife leaving you, your children running away from home or whatever, then you may want to read this. Maybe the most important letter you ever read. So you can test that against the famous Gary Halbert open. If XYZ is important to you, so if losing weight and getting back to your normal health and avoiding diabetes is important to you, or whatever, you can't say avoiding diabetes, but you know what I mean, then this may be the most important letter you ever read. So you can test a positive lead versus a negative lead. But so if you think about what I just said, if let's take something really bland. If losing weight and regaining the energy of your youth is important to you, then this may be the most important letter that you ever read. No, that's not good copy because I'm just writing off the top of my head, but that's close to the Gary Halbert lead. There's not a lot of emotion in there, right? So how could you make that more emotional? I just purposely stripped out the emotion. I said if losing weight and feeling more energetic. And so those are positive things. Like most people would think of them as positive, right? So you have an affirmative association with it, but it's not emotional, But you can make it more emotional simply by adding a few words, Like, for example, if an enjoyable way of losing weight, if I just said that, if a fun and enjoyable way of losing weight and regaining energy it sounds interesting to you, then this may be the most important. Okay, so I just made it just, I just added some emotions to the top of it. It's a pretty interesting thing here. So let me scroll up here, guys. Okay. Tech, big money in tech. I don't know that. Kayvon says, I'm a business coach. There are a lot of offers in the market, like how to build your business in 37 days. I'd like to promote a group coach call, $1,000 a month. Yeah. And you like controversial headlines. Well, you're going to love what I'm going to offer today. If you guys want to go now, you should go check this out, because I'm going to be teaching a class and you guys can get in for half price, because I'm going to be raising the price. But and you get me live teaching the class, and it's called Headline Mastery. And I'm going to teach you all my headline formula. It's a 2-hour class, man. It's intense. And we'll go over the history of great headlines, all of my favorite headline formulas, my sales page formula. I mean, everything that you need to write headlines, and how you can apply headlines to write 60 to 70% of your copy. It's really cool. So go to headlinemastery.com, and you can sign up for it. Okay. And Leanne can pop a link in there. So there we go. Now let me get back over here to, okay. Yeah. So how would I approach it? For a $1,000 a month for a 1-year program, that's a great way. First of all, that offer is a good offer, rather than saying, asking for 10 grand or whatever. So first of all, I would say $1,000 a month or 10K up front. So just as a pitch kind of thing. How would you approach it? So business coach, be more specific with the business coach. Like, what's your big promise? I have a glass of wine while I'm doing this here, guys. What's your big promise? Okay. Okay. Oh, no, it's the wholesaling process, Pedro. You can ask me anything. Ask me anything. The A in any is anything. How do you create these stories? What's the first step? How do you create these stories? Can you be more specific again? I'm not sure what these stories refer to. Jason said, "Hey, I discovered your channel a few weeks ago. Cinnamon binge watching. Thanks, man." Yeah, of course. VSL can work if you don't nail every point, for sure. It can still convert. There are people that have written VSLs that are done exactly my 5-step formula, and people that have written around it. As long as you got the basic framework intact in play, you'll do good. So, thanks for the binge watch, man. At the moment, we're getting to okay. Yeah, thanks, Fahim. Look forward to talking to you. Yeah, here. Yeah, I know you guys are known for wine. Don't hit me, man. But I don't like Italian wines; they're too light for me. I always go to Napa. Say, do you have any copy ideas related to directly contacting influencers in email? Influencers? No, it's such a. I'm just not in that space. Like I know there's a lot of. I mean, influencers are such a broad topic. I mean, someone might consider me an influencer in copy, but I know there's guys like 500,000, 1 million subscribers, and they're influencers, and I don't know. Yeah, so good question. I do know that my former assistant is connected in that industry, and you can look her up. Ella McMahon is her name. She's on Instagram. I don't know her Instagram handle though. So yeah, as far as how I structure the offer, yeah, I do have an outline for that called the grand offer in Now VSL, and it's it's like 42 points. So it's very specific along with a copy. So the best way to get that is just go to nowvsl.com and pick it up there, because that's I mean, it is so in depth. It's like crazy. And there's video tutorials on every single slide. So yeah. So you see, good to see. I see. Awesome. Thanks. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Cool. Let's get to other questions here. I keep seeing the question thing pop up, and my mouse doesn't want to scroll. So give me a second. Standard format. Oh yeah, yeah. It's the one I always use. It's the one I prefer to use. Only one, if you please. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. My wife, as soon as she decides to come over here. My wife, Oya.
Hello.
Say hello. Say hello to YouTube.
Hello.
So my new wife. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, we've known each other for a long time.
A long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yes. When you reach out to direct sales to individual opportunities, oh, you got the
I got the fluff here, yes.
Okay, you want
Shall
to
he
pick?
say hello?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You
Try.
guys want to meet Sir Fluff a lot?
Well, if he's available. Not sure about that.
Okay, well, he might come around.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
He's available for a moment. Special for baby.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so any tips on finding a niche for selling? New niche for selling. That's a good question. Pedro, I'll be in Brazil in a week, so come down and see me at the affiliate something or other.
It's just the best way to promote.
Affiliate,
yourself.
yeah, no, isn't it great? The affiliate marketing. Yeah, just Google affiliate
The master
marketing.
of hook and calls to
Yeah.
action.
It's in Portuguese,
Been a
man.
long day.
I don't know. It's in Portuguese. Yeah. It's just it's the biggest event of the year. You can't miss it. So it's yeah. As far as a new niche for selling, I mean it's I tend to just do things I like. So I don't really think about you know finding niches outside of what I already enjoy. So I would probably be better, make a lot more money if I did that, but I just don't want to do that. I don't care that. For example, Craig, my buddy Craig owns Golden Hippo, and he's a great copywriter, a great VSL writer, and they've done. I guess they're going to probably do $1 billion. I mean, but he started in doing a lot of skincare stuff, and I just don't care. So, so if you want to get something that's profitable, skincare is profitable for sure. Their supplements used to be profitable, but they're cracking down on a lot of things you can say. So yeah, as far as the back relieving product, I mean, I've written a lot in the supplement space, and I can just tell you that it's very difficult to get to pain relief and get it to work because it's you have to just watch your words so much. You can, it's totally doable. You can also say basically anything you want until you get shut down, and then you could run into trouble. So you want to be careful. Um, so awesome. Well, how would you write a headline for cream that sells release back pain? That's a good question. So when I wrote for Russell Brunson's pain relief supplement, and we wrote around rather than around pain relief, we would just say when your back needs relief, which is you don't say pain relief, you just say pain relief. When your back needs relief fast, XYZ. So just starting with that as a promise is a really good idea, or rather a starter. So yeah, okay. How far back is learning script technique and confidence with Jon Benson? I don't understand the question. Leanne, can you ask Robert what he means? How far back is? I don't know. So can you elaborate on the process of developing your VSL skill set? Okay, this is going to be long with a lot of technical questions.
I have to run, so I just wanted to pop in and say hi.
All right.
As well
Can you
as
start the Zoom?
Okay, deal.
Okay, thanks.
Deal.
I think so. All right.
Okay. Bye, guys.
So we're gonna cook steak in the background. All right. Process of developing your VSL skill set. Well, so Jason, I mean, my entire process is documented on YouTube as far as I covered pretty extensively the VSL formula in there. And then if you want to get even way deeper into the weeds and get everything, then Now VSL is the place to go, nowvsl.com, because that's by far and away. I mean, that's the only course of its kind. There's nothing else like it that has, literally 87 videos on every single slide. And so yeah, that's where you want to go, and that can hone your skills. As far as how I developed my skills, I mean, I wrote the very first one, so I kind of pulled it out of the thin air, and then over time just started figuring out like how did I want to write that would tell a story and open loops and things that I knew to do from psychology. So that's how I honed the skills, and then I didn't really become a decent copywriter until several years later, where I started learning how to influence in different ways, and apply benefits and bullets and things like that I didn't do very well. So, oh, your sticking points. Oh, well, yeah. So I didn't have any sticking points with VSLs except for the same sticking points that everyone else has. I've written VSLs that suck. And so that's a sticking point. But since I started them, I cheated. I mean, so it's it's, that's just kind of a weird thing to say, but I'm the one that started VSL. So there was no one else to really model. So yeah, so I got started just by I didn't want to shave one day and didn't want to be on camera, so I just put my voice to video and then decided it'd be better to put it to words rather than a still picture, and the rest is literally history. It's kind of crazy. It took off so fast, and yeah, and sooner or later I wrote the second VSL I wrote is still live today. Truth About Abs, Mike Geary's product over Truth About Abs, and yeah, that's just crazy that it's been that long and that crazy. So yeah, Pimsleur I did the edits for in voice and some of the copy for that, and it just kind of just took off from there. Like more and more people just started asking for them, and they just kept working so well. So okay, yeah. So Mio's got a great headline here. What German physiotherapists do when their back needs help fast. You can make that a statement rather than a question, and it's also a very old headline formula. It's like it's taken from a very similar formula. It says the aspirin that doctors take, I think, is the original one, but I could be wrong with that. But that's a great headline, so I like that one a lot. And yeah, so that's really good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks. What type of research? Okay, that's a great question. Yeah, research is everything, and so much so that I've written a course about it. Sorry guys, I keep saying courses, but there's just no way to get the course itself hours long, and so there's no way to cover it. But I have this process called the Avatar's Diary, and it's basically like creating a diary of your avatar. But the way that we do it, the search sites we give that I guarantee you haven't thought of, they're very sneaky, and it's like stalking someone legally. It's the closest thing to reading your avatar's mind that you'll ever get to. And when you take it further with the techniques that I teach, where you're writing in the first person, you're writing the avatar as yourself, it changes how you approach everything to where you'll know your avatar so well. You'll start using the words they use. You'll start echoing the pain points and the goals that they want to echo versus what you think they want to do. And it changes everything. So I highly, highly suggest that course. Hey, Tim, how are you doing, man? How can someone work with you as a copywriter? I do hire other copywriters outside. I just have to see their work, and they have to have, they have to have stuff that converts, and I have to like them. So let me see. How do you structure your course when you create one? You couldn't have asked a better time, since I'm literally in the middle of creating one today, and I created an entire course in a week last week, which was just insane. And so I tell you exactly how I did it. So first of all, I had to go to my Kanban board, so I get really super organized, and I push myself harder than I think I need to be pushed. I optimize my sleep, and I'm always optimal in nutrition, but I don't skip on the gym. I don't skip on my diet. When I say diet, by the way, I mean nutrition for bodybuilding. So I don't skip on anything like that. It just never goes by the wayside. So that keeps my physical energy really high. And I'm telling you the things that are not related to copy, because they're so much more important. What I do is I make sure that my brain's running on fat, so ketones to be specific. So I don't try to run on glucose. That's important because fat is a lot more abundant, even in someone lean like myself. You have a lot more fat than glucose. Your body can only store a few teaspoons of sugar at a time. You can store a little bit more than that in glycogen, 400 grams or something, but it's not a lot. It's not what you think. Your body can store pounds and pounds and pounds of fat, in case you probably know that, right? A lot of us unfortunately know that firsthand. So you can run a lot better on fat than it can on sugar. So I fuel the body on fat. That helps. And then I make an outline in Google Sheets, and I say, what are the assets that I need? And I just break every single thing down into, okay, literally what video number is this going to be, start titling it. I play around with the titles. Next thing you know, I've got the whole thing outlined in a Sheets document. And then I just have is it the completion status of this? So I just check them off. It's just a very like structured, mundane process that I use to create this. And then the biggest trick that I can tell you is that go at it early in the morning. So if I normally get up at 7, I'll get up at 6. So I'll still get at least 7 hours of sleep, but I'll get up at 6. And that gives me a whole other hour, and I don't do anything but that course. So you'll be unbelievably fresh if you do this. So that's the highlights of it. So let me scroll back up here, guys. Give me a second. All right, cool. Let me see here. All right. How much to launch a copywriting campaign? Well, to launch a copywriting campaign, you mean like an ad campaign? It totally depends on there's so many different variables on that, but it's critical. Yeah, I mean, I've survived without a lot of ads being successful just because we haven't needed them, but we're trying to get more gooder at that. But yeah, so I think it's pretty important if you want to scale. If you have a list and you've got a following, then it's not as important, but definitely important if you want to scale. Definitely so. When will mentorship start, and can you estimate amount? Okay, so saving money. We're going to open the mentorship thing up with the new offer with the newsletter in about 6 weeks. So that's going to be that case. I'll let you know more specifics when I have them. What kind of changes in the VSL space a couple of years ago? Yeah, it's a whole lot of changes. I mean, it's one of the biggest reasons I launched that I'm launching this new course. It's called Attention Frameworks, and so a framework is the structure. It's like the lattice net around a video sales letter, and I narrowed it down to 9 things that I use to not only get attention but secure it. So it's one thing to get attention; it's another thing to secure it. The longer you secure attention throughout the video sales letter, the more sales you make. It's that simple. So you have to secure the attention. But there's all sorts of psychological elements to secure attention. You can't open loops continually, for example. You can't do things that, you can't use tricks. You have to use some of the things I started this conversation with. For example, I use validation as a way to psychologically open loops. I use it in very, very interesting ways. Like I use it in testimonials. Like I'll open loops in testimonials and use validation. So I know I'm talking some tech jargon here, but this is how I'm seeing VSLs change. To answer your question, is people's attention span is shifting. So we've gone from an attention span of a gnat to an attention span of a gnat that's been chopped in half a few thousand times. So it's like nothing. So you have to really work at securing attention. And if you don't do it throughout the VSL, everything changes. The other thing that's changed is that VSLs have gotten more visual. So while slides still work, and most people use slides about halfway through, they click over to slides. And it still works better for closing for sure. Use slides for that. You've got a lot more visual leeway than you used to have in VSLs. Okay. Thank you, Gustavo. I love Brazil too, and I can't wait to get there. You know what? Trader Rob, I couldn't be paid enough to watch hockey. I've been to 2 hockey games here in Vancouver. I fell asleep both times. I know they're athletes. I know they're good athletes. If someone's not, it basically, for me, is if jumping isn't involved in some way, I'm not interested. So I figured out that it's related to jumping. So yeah, not a lot of jumping in ice hockey, but there is blood, which I like that too. But they have to entertain people by fighting, which is, I can't get into that. But so I love fighting because I grew up in fighting. But so I like to watch UFC for that, like real fighters, not hockey players. Okay. Anyway, I grew up on football too. I'm from Texas, so do you have any tips using media res technique? You got me on that one, Leanne. You'll have to look that one up. I don't know. Okay. Can you? Yeah, I shared a little bit about my past, how I got into marketing. I started as a fitness writer and a guy that was I was an obese 32-year-old man. And I'd let myself completely go from college, and I got sicker and sicker and had a heart attack at 38 and decided, wow, it's not a good way to live. I better change my life, and decided to write a book about it. So I did when I was 40. I got into cover model shape. and wrote a book called Fit Over 40. And I had no idea how to market it. I just wanted to write a book. And I was, kind of goofing around with blogs, even though there wasn't really blogs back then. It was just write an HTML page and upload it, kind of crazy. And then I had the good fortune of meeting Tom Venuto, who's one of the largest internet marketers at the time, was the largest. And he said, I'll market it. I love the book. If you write it, I market it. So that's how it happened. And next thing you know, I'm an internet marketer. So it was definitely, I'll say this to everyone watching. It's like people say, right place, right time. And that's true. But I do also believe that success favors the prepared mind. So, I did not wait for something to happen. I wanted to write a book. It was on a bucket list. For me, a book at the time seemed really daunting, especially a book this big. It's like 300 and something pages. And I was a writer, but I wasn't any sort of marketer. I didn't know what copywriting was. So, but I knew I wanted to do this because I had a passion for it. So I wasn't going to let experience, the fact that I have no formal education I didn't at the time in nutrition, I do now, but I didn't at the time. No formal nutrition and training and no training and training, but I knew how to train, but I just didn't know how to train like formally. I just didn't care. I was like, screw it, I'm going to write it anyway. And we'll figure out how to sell it later. So, and then I started writing articles, and started writing and posting these things online with no one following me. And it's sort of similar to this YouTube channel, okay, where it's a little different because I have a big following, not on YouTube yet. But thanks to you guys, I'm growing. Thank you, by the way. But there's my friend Alex has got over 100,000 subscribers. She's been doing this a lot longer than I have. But I'm I'd say probably better known as a copywriter because I'm, considered one of the best copywriters. So I've got a good following that way, but I don't have a good following on social media. I never have. So when I started this YouTube channel, thanks to Leanne, basically really helped me a whole lot. I took the same mentality. It's like, if I wrote a book for 5 people, I was going to write the book. So if I do a YouTube channel and there's 16 people online, and right now we have 30 people watching this live. So thank you all 30. But in a year, we might have 300 people live or 3,000 people live. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't care because I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I want to help people. So when I say I'm doing it for me, actually, I'm doing it, I guess, for you guys because I really want to be helpful. But I also have a lot of fun with it. So that's the secret to how I got started. Is I really loved the topic I was talking about. I really wanted to help people. I want to help people avoid having a heart attack at 38 years old. It's crazy. I want to help people get lean and fit and all that stuff, and I still do. So that's it, man. That's do what you love, and success tends to follow. Sometimes it takes a lot longer, But I worked 14 years in my own company. I started a design firm in Dallas, and so I started a design firm without knowing how to be a designer. So I have a crazy origin story. I really do. I won't bore you guys too much with it, but I mean, I could tell you the story. And some people just won't believe me, but it's true. I literally I became a graphic designer, and I didn't even know what a graphic designer was. I just thought it sounded cool, and then I would pick up chicks. I'm not making this up. Ask anyone that knew me at the time. I was literally going around asking people what I should be, and they'd say, "Oh, you should be a graphic designer," because I didn't like the job I was at. I said, "What is a graphic designer? It sounds cool. It sounds like something that would, I could pick up chicks, And so, and they were like, "Oh, you get to you design stuff and put stuff places," and I'm like, oh, "Okay, I'll do that." It was just crazy. So I really do do believe that's the secret behind everything. Is like do things that you think will pick up. No, I'm kidding. Do what you've got to just go for it, man. So I had no background in this at all, and if I wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you, because it's like it took 14 years though, 14 years to go from that to sitting into writing my first book, and that was 18 years ago. So to give you a time frame here, guys, this is not any sort of overnight success or whatever, man. This is a war of attrition, pal. I mean, you better be ready to fight. And it helps that I grew up as a fighter. My dad was a Golden Gloves boxer. He was a war hero, greatest father ever. I love him to death. And I grew up in, I get to learn to box and kickbox when I was a kid, and did that most of my life. And you grow up doing that. You grow up a little bit different. You grow up, you can grow up a little tougher, and you have to be a little tough in this. You have to be able to tough it out. And man, there are good days and bad. There are good months and bad for sure. And you have to tough it out. So I'm skirting around the topic a lot because I don't want to talk too much about myself, but Okay, so I'm going to answer you guys' questions here. So if I miss you, let me know. So Leon's asking about media res starting in the middle of the story. Starting in the middle of the story. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Mia, I wasn't following. Yeah, starting in the middle of the story. So we've been doing this for as long as we've been writing television scripts, right? So if you ever watch Breaking Bad, for example, it's in Better Call Saul, the latest version, incarnation of that spinoff series. They start almost every series, almost every episode in the middle of something, and you have no idea what's going on. Sometimes they start in the middle of the season, so they're way ahead of the story arc, and that opens a loop in someone's mind. And I use this as an example. As one of the VSL I wrote for On It, the supplement company On It, and the first line was, "She walked through my door a shattered woman." So you have no idea where this is going, right? It was about a mood supplement, but you have no idea when you read about it. And so I talk about her walking in through his door, and all was she in a car wreck? Was she beat up? Did he break up with her? You don't know. And that's how you start in the beginning. You start in the middle, rather. So yes, my wife does definitely float. Yeah. Yeah. That tall gazelle Russian thing she's got going on. Yeah, so, and she's also my best friend, so that's much more important. Okay. Okay, where can I learn NLP? Okay, so I don't. Okay, first of all, let's talk about manipulation, because I think Hypnotizer Watt is being a little funny here. But so I want to say two things that are going to sound contradictory. Number one, manipulation is morally terrible, in my opinion. And number two, we are all manipulating everybody all the time. So let me define what I mean. Manipulation as it's commonly defined, meaning that, I'm trying to coerce somebody to do something that they don't want to do. That is most of the time that's evil. But some of the time it's not. For example, if my child, I don't have a child, but if I didn't want to eat his meat, because I don't eat vegetables, so if he doesn't want to eat steak, I'd be like, "Hey, kid, if you don't eat your steak, you don't get to watch your favorite TV show." Now, well, that's manipulation. What else is that, right? Yeah. Okay. So it's coercion. You're going to eat the steak or else, right? So similar is how we treat other people. So when people want to know NLP, they usually want to know NLP because they think it's a manipulative tool, meaning I'm trying to get somebody to do something against their will. I'm actually using NLP merely to open the subconscious mind to being receptive to change. So not receptive to my whims and my will. Now, can you use it that way? You can use hypnotism that way. You can use NLP that way. I don't use it that way. That's not how I want to convince someone to do something. Are there fun things you can do with it? Sure. Like I use stop commands all the time. I use embedded commands all the time. I use, I use all sorts of future pacing all the time. Future pacing could be considered manipulative because I'm walking somebody into a future setting that I see for them, right? But it's manipulative in the best possible way. Like, here's the future I see for you. So if you're using NLP and those kind of techniques, some of the best places to learn it is in NowVSL. Sorry to keep promoting my own stuff, but nowvsl.com. I go into pretty much a PhD level course in NLP, but that also it's ethical NLP. It's the ways that you do this for ethical reasons. Now, the only unethical, when I say unethical, the only gray area things that I do, like I'll occasionally say, by now you probably realize that blah, blah, blah. And the slide just said by now, and it said BUINOW rather than BYNOW. So that's pretty fun. So that's NLP trickery. It's more like as a gag. It's like, I just like to, it's fun. Ugly VSLs still work. Absolutely. I write them all the time. So yeah, thank you. You're welcome, man. It's supposed to be products. Have you ever seen or done? I don't think I've ever written a VSL for service. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I've written VSLs for services. Yeah. And it's the same exact process that you want to go through. It's just, it's a, it's service rather than an offer. So absolutely same process. Okay, Josh, would it make most sense to copy to reference a funnel VSL for product similar category or to follow the VSL format? So yeah, that's a great question. So if you follow somebody else's formula in a funnel, first of all, you have to know that it works. Second of all, you do risk some plagiarism. So, and what you'll find out is most people are using the structure that I'm talking about, and they're writing around it. So, the answer is unfortunately to write both and see which one wins. Having some craving on words on Gary Halbert. Okay, Yeah. Gary had some great ones, man. Yeah, I thought that's what you meant. Hypnotized to manipulation for positive things. Yeah, I don't eat. So people ask this all the time. I am a carnivore, so I don't eat. I eat 5 days a week. I eat nothing but meat and water. So and wine. It's the only plant I eat. And on the weekends, I still don't eat vegetables. Usually, I had a salad this weekend, but it's not for health reasons. Plants are actually trying to kill you. So, yeah, I know this controversial topic here, but yeah, there's a lot of research on carnivore diet right now. Plants are just not as nearly as good for you as people think they are. For me, there's a lot of anti-nutrients in plant food, tons of them in certain vegetables for sure. And I just would prefer not to eat them. And I feel much better when I eat nothing but meat, salt, and water. So, and the occasional cup of coffee and glass of wine, eggs, things like that. Okay. I've used interesting. Rob says I've used entitlement in almost all of my sales copy. So just tell me if do you mean entitlement as in this psychological state of entitlement that we see in the vast majority of people under the age of 30 today, or are you talking about entitlement as the philosophical or the psychological construct? Just let me know. Uh, So, oh, and yeah, hey Rob, I just now saw that Leanne is answering as me, by the way. So, yeah, sorry to hear about that you had that in common. Yeah, it's a tough thing to have in common. Yeah, to be honest with you, I got shitty genes, and my wife shitty genes, and even though she certainly doesn't look the part, but hers is congenital, mine isn't. Mine's just genetic, and it sucks, but could be much worse, and I've been able to kick its ass since then. So it just takes a lot of stuff. I do a lot of shit. I do a lot of stuff for this. But okay, are you speaking about Todd in your Now VSO system all the time? Uh, okay. The TODD. Do you mean the every other day diet? By the way, is that what you mean? Wouldn't matter if you are hypnotized, but thank you. Let's see. Scientology. Thanks for yeah. Thank you. All right. So Mia's asking, why did I start a YouTube channel? I went over there earlier. It's but there's, I guess the deeper element is, and I'm going to share this with you, all 31 of you. Thank you. Is my goal in a year is to have a legion. In fact, I even coined Legionnaires, calling you guys Legionnaires. The copy legion is what I want to form. So like 100,000 plus strong, where we can have like a place to go to where all of you can go, and we can build a forum. We can have job postings. I can do capital raises for software through copywriters and give you guys part of that. I want to create like a whole legion of copywriters. And the other thing is I love teaching. I feel like it's gosh, I hate, I'm not a braggart. I don't like, I tend to, I probably too much delve into modesty, but the truth is that I'm better at teaching, or at least as good than I am at writing. And that comes from, I guess, a long time of teaching. I taught music when I was a teenager. So I've been teaching since I've been 18 years old, and just love it, and love and then combine that with acting, which I did in college. And I can kind of get into my character of myself, which is not a deceptive character. It's just more of an amplified character of myself that you see on the YouTube videos. And it's fun. So I can be humorous and acting, and I gotta get all out and help a ton of people, I hope. And even more than helping you guys, nothing personal, is that who you guys will help. Because if you're writing offers that help people, then I'll indirectly have an impact on helping other people. So all of those things, and yes, there's the monetization side of things is, of course, I want to sell more of my own products and services because I think the best. So, and the best way to do that is to show you guys, I'll give you guys so much crap you can't possibly keep up. And so that you'll feel guilty if you don't buy them. So it's like, look, man, this guy's giving us all this stuff. I mean, how good is his paid stuff? If his free stuff is this good? That's what I want you to say. So, yeah. And I love, thanks, man. I thank you. I try to love what I teach for sure. And by the way, that's a really good comment from Miho. And Mohit, I am. We are making Copy Legion, but it's a really good comment because check this out, guys. If follow the people that you want to be like, so in whatever way. So if someone's teaching writing, like there's a duo of copywriters right now that I know of one thing that between the two of them that they've written of one thing, and it was pretty good and it worked out. It worked out well. But they've got a great, thriving, probably 8-figure business, talking about copywriting. And do they have a resume like me? No, of course not. They've been writing some of the top offers in the world, and so yeah, that's. But they turned what they were able to do into a way that is supposedly, I don't know because I've never been a part of it, helping a lot of people. Now, is it as in depth? Is it? No, it's none of those things. But is it good? Probably. I mean, I'm just going to say probably because I don't know. I don't look at anybody else's stuff. Even my friend Chris Adon's VSL course, I didn't look at it because I don't want any ideas. Is Chris a good VSL writer? Hell yeah. Chris is a badass. He's awesome. Is he smart? Yeah. Am I going to look at his stuff? No, because I don't look at anybody's stuff. I want to be completely on my own. If you're not following people that you like, that's one thing, but follow people you want to be like, not just that you like. So if you want to write in my style or write like, or just learn to write, better, then that's great. But also the same thing is true of like, I'm not going to follow a fitness guy that's fat. Despite what Vogue magazine wants to tell me, it's not beautiful, nor is it healthy. So I'm not going to follow somebody I'm not going to go to a doctor that looks like he's 4 feet away from the grave. If he can't heal himself, he can't heal me. I'm not going to go to a copywriter that's never written anything that I know. Why would I read a book by a copywriter that hasn't written anything that I know? Now, he might be really good. Like some guy introduced me to a kid the other day that's 27 years old, and he's got some chops. He's good. Now, I've never read anything that he's written. He's young and he hasn't been around that long. So there's definitely guys like that that are going to be killers. So don't get me wrong. But if I'm going to be mentored by somebody, it's going to be like a Rich Sheffrin, someone that I know, someone that I'm fortunate enough to call a friend, that I know his success without a doubt. I know how smart he is. So so I want to be more like Rich in the way that Rich creates products, or I want to be more like Frank Kern in the way that he markets himself. So follow those people and the people that prove it by their actions. So it's one thing to be a good teacher, it's another thing to be a good actor, as in you're taking action on what you're talking about. All right. Okay, cool. Okay. How can you prove writing in English? Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. So my wife is Russian, and so she obviously speaks Russian, and her English is her second language. And except for the accent, you would never know it. I mean, she uses 5-syllable words on a daily, in conversation, like just passing. And then when she occasionally misses a word, it's completely charming. I think she called like a it was I can't remember what like when somebody's trying to learn a language and they say a word and you know what they mean, but it's not the right word. It's so rare with her. But when she does, it's like I just laugh because it's charming. So I don't know how she got so good at this, because when she came here, she didn't speak English. So I mean, she's been here 20 years, so it's been a while, but so I don't know, practice, man. So how do I structure the avatar's diary? That is a long conversation. That course, John, is going to be part of 2 different courses. So 2 courses I'm coming out with is, ready for this, guys? Right now, Headline Mastery, you can get at headlinemastery.com. That does not include the Avatar's Diary. That's less expensive. 2 relatively expensive courses because they are intense. They are both going to be 8 to 14 hours of course work. One is called Copy Essentials, and Copy Essentials debuts in Brazil. For the Brazilians there, let me hear if you're from Brazil. Say hello if you're from Brazil, because you guys get this first live. Okay, I'm so excited about this. So I'm going to present this live in Portuguese. No, I'm kidding. But it will be translated as I'm going along in Portuguese. So just so you know, this whole course will be taught live all day long in an event hall. And it is the very first time it's going to be released. Then I get back to the States and I record the whole thing again live one time, and all of you can be a part of that. So now that is relatively expensive course. So just to let you know, but it is going to get you 90% of what you need to write effective sales copy. Copy is 90-10. Let me tell you about the 90-10 rule. 90% of copy revolves around these three things. Three things. That's it. If you can do these three things, which I can teach you in one day, it's a long day. It's about 10 hours, but I can teach you in one day how to do these three things. And 90% of your copywriting will be met. If you have the skills to do just three freaking things, and I'm not bullshitting you. This is not some sort of like marketing ploy, although it is a good marketing ploy. So those three things, in case you're wondering, in case you need to know, are the hook, the headlines, and the sales bullets. Those three things. Three things. If you can write those three things effectively and create those three things effectively, it's the process. So the hook is, man, I think it's everything. People say sales bullets are everything. I think the hook is everything, because the creative process that you go through to create it will create half of your copy for you. And then when you start applying it into the headline formulas and the sales bullet formulas I'll be teaching you, you'll see what I'm talking about. I wrote an entire part of a funnel with nothing but those formulas. 90% of it was nothing but that. So that is going to be kick-ass, and that will cover the avatar's diary, because you have to know it. You have to know your avatar better than you know yourself, and you can't do it unless you do the research for the avatar's diary. So that's exciting. I can't wait to cover that. So Brazilians, you're lucky you get to hear it first. And then the second course is called the Attention Frameworks Masterclass. And Attention Framework is, like I said earlier, it's the lattice, it's the framework that goes around the VSL. So you take normal VSL script, like my 5-step formula, and you plug this over top of it. It's all you. You don't have to rewrite the whole thing. You just plug it on top of it. And this radically increases the attention that you'll get from any VSL. You'll increase the view time. You'll obviously more view times mean more sales. So those two courses both have that in it, and I'm excited about both of them. So yeah. I'm expanding big time into Brazil this year. That's the focus for Brazil. Hello, Yuri. 16 years old, making. Hey, man, I'm taking a screenshot of that. I'm taking that screenshot right now. Yuri, if you're making 10K a month and you're 16 years old, you, sir, are my hero. You are a BAMF, if you know what a BAMF is. And cheers to you, man. That's an awesome job. It's almost scary to see how good you're going to be when you're 26. So keep that up. It's beautiful. In fact, I'm being asked I should interview Yuri for my channel. So Yuri, if you're interested, let me know. More important to know your audience, your competitors. Oh, it's a great question, Corey. So the most important thing to know is your avatar. Without hesitation, I'll answer that. So again, avatars are very important. After that, so you can consider that your audience. After that, you should look at your competitors, only to see how they're approaching things. I'm also the worst at that, the absolute worst, because ask Leanne, I don't look at anyone's stuff, whether it's their sales page or like when I was putting together my copywriting certification course. Oh, by the way, Copy Essentials is the 90%. The 10% is copy mastery, because like 80-20, where 20% of your results, guess what? The 10% is all the nuances, and that makes you the master of copy. And so copy mastery is the second level of that. So Copy Essentials, copy mastery. But Copy Essentials, when I was creating the course for Copy Essentials, I would not look at other people's copywriting certification offers. Just didn't want to look at it. I glanced at Alex Cantoni's, I believe, but I didn't want to look at any detail because I don't want to copy anyone. Anyway, so you should technically be copying your competitor, because you're not copying them, you're just studying to see what they're doing. I just let my team do it. So, all right. Oh, cool. Good to know that, Mohit. That's good. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Cool that we're so similar. Lose your last layer of belly. It's what I tell most people. You'll lose the last layer of belly fat. Cut the carbs out of your diet 5 days and then put them back in for 2. See how that works. Your body doesn't need them. It's a myth. I've just got through training with a guy. He's a surgeon, medical doctor, and he's hadn't eaten carbs in 5 years. I've met people that haven't eaten carbs in 25 years. So they're not only perfectly healthy, they're strong as an ox, and they're running great. So they're all lean, obviously, so yeah, that tends to work for me. So I'm building a chatbot for my onboard tips integrating sales copy. So be paid membership. So chatbot. So chatbots, I've only written for once, and that was for our own now method kind of thing. So I'm certainly not an expert at it. But what I do think works really well with chats is asking people like questions that are going to drill them down to a yes for the answer. For example, like, so is it true that you're interested in blank? And so it's going to be an obvious yes, because it's whatever that blank is what you're talking about. Um, uh, so if I could share a solution with you, would you be interested? so so yeah, sure, okay. So this solution is by far the best I've seen for, whatever it may be, achieving goal. Um, would you be willing to commit, and what the smallest amount of time possible, 30 minutes a week to doing so? So that's how I do bots, for what it's worth. Uh, Somebody's asked me, Francisco de Silva, do you know what happened to Vincent James? I don't know Vincent James. Is he in the copywriting space? Um, Not sure. So, Vincent James. Mm. Oh, Jason, when is attention framework? We're okay. Check this out. More good news. I signed a deal. Was it today? My days are blurring together. Yeah, today. Today we finalized a deal with um, the main supplier of AI scripts for what used to be Jarvis is now Jasper, and just for my VSO formula. So yeah, that's going to be in Jasper now as well as in now VSL. So if somebody wants it completely automated, and obviously it's going to be, AI is going to take some time here, but they can get it that way, or they go through my course and software. And on top of that comes an attention framework. So that's going to be sold with that bundle as a bundle when I get back in the middle of June is when that's released. So looking forward to that. This is these two courses are I mean, not to I am so proud of Copy Pro. I can't see straight sometimes, but and I'm very proud of the things I've built. But these two courses are the best courses I've created, I think, um, for what it's worth. So going way out of the line here to say that. Thank you, appreciate it, man. Uh, Continue number 3, number 4. Great, John. I'm not sure what number 3 is. Have you tested an offer overview that appears below the VSL versus just a buy button without an over? Yeah, we test both, and it's a flip of the coin which one wins. It's literally you can't tell. I mean, it's like you have to check it out. You just have to test. There's no way around it. So most of the time, what I do is I have the button without anything there, and then I know after 40 minutes it's going to pop down. Then I'll pop down the mini sales page. So yeah. Again, regarding the other day, oh, you're talking about the every other day diet. So that was my second book, the every other day diet. And what I wrote a book for the mass. I tell people in the book I don't do this diet myself. So it was just like on one day you eat very little calories, on the next day you eat more calories. Pretty simple, very very simple. I now subscribe to a different philosophy. I wrote 4-day diet, which is my diet, except I do 5. So 4-day diet is very low carbs, and I do 0 carbs except for a glass of wine here, which hasn't hardly anything in it. Okay. How long did it take you to grow your calves? It's like my legs and calves. They're genetic. That's the only genetic good part I think I have on my body. So I did bust my ass on calves. Man, I guess 3 years, and I was doing donkey calves with my girlfriends on my back for like years, just like every day. He's written book 12-Month Millionaire. Vincent James. I don't know him, so I can't answer the question. 12. So sounds awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate the Jason saying the high quality. Curious to know how long does it take to your average? That's an interesting. So how long it started taking is I blocked off every Sunday from noon to 3 o'clock to do 3 videos, and it would end up being noon to 6 o'clock, especially on days I had to train. So if I don't train on a Sunday, I could do noon to 4:30 or 5 and get it done. And now, because Leanne and our editor Sadar, we've gotten so good at this, and the camera back then, when I first started way back, not even a year ago, but they didn't have 4K cameras. And so now I can do a 4K camera right from my girlfriend's laptop. My wife, sorry. She's been girlfriend for years. So it's taking me a little while to remember this here. Sorry, but yeah, I can shoot right from her. I can shoot right from here. And I got to the point where I've got my formula of how I present the data down. So I just have really rough notes. I can get up that morning and write it. So now I can do, and I do 2 videos a week rather than 3 now. And I can do those 2 videos in 2 hours. So I start to finish, content and everything. And I psych myself up to get into the content frame. Like the stuff I'm throwing out, I mean, sometimes I'm just writing it the day, literally minutes before that I'm doing this. So that's too funny, dude. All right. Secret of being so good at copywriting, practice writing through myself versus trying to conversate versus write. So, and when I write stuff that sucks, it's because I'm trying to write rather than converse. Conversate's a word I think I just made up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Leanne, we got a troll in here. Will you kick his ass out? Otherwise, I'll fucking kick his ass for real. Oh, by the way, I still revert back to being a fighter. So, okay. Yeah. Okay. Private consultation. Oh yeah. So, Fahim, so yeah, that's a great question. So more than likely what we can do if you do a private consult is that you just look at translation services. They're usually 30 cents a word, and an hour conversation is roughly 6,000 words, 7,000 words to give you an idea. But that's where how do you improve VSL offer? I mean, it's all about the intro. It's all about the first 90 seconds. We write leads. That's what we do 9 times out of 10. So it's you're going to be able to beat a VSL 9 times out of 10 if you just structure the leads. Now, that's assuming it's converting. So structure the leads. Usually the first, I'll start with 90 seconds and I'll go to the first 1,500 words, and that's all we write. That's all we write. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try not to give anything that doesn't resonate with yourself. Craig Clemens, yeah. So Craig is good, as they say. Well, his results are impeccable. I mean, his results, yeah, you can't argue with a guy's results. Is Craig the best writer that I've ever seen? Not as a writer. Is he one of the best sales writers I've ever seen? Absolutely. He's incredible. And Craig is just an incredible, sharp guy too. He's very, very cool dude. But yeah, I mean, he's got it. But he is a guy that works like crazy. He will take 6 months to write a VSL. I'll take 6 hours. So it's 2 different. And Gary Halbert was the same way. He'd write a sales letter in a day, and he wrote a lot of bombs, and then he wrote some of the biggest sales letters in the world. So it's kind of like I'm the Babe Ruth approach, and he's more of the what's the baseball opposite of Babe Ruth. I don't know. Awesome. Thank you. My voice is yeah, that's definitely from nature. So I did take some radio stuff when I was in college. So awesome. Well, I think that we've had a great go at this, guys. We've had up to, I think, 35 people on here, which is awesome. I think this has been a fantastic first live for me. With first time trying this. I hope that all of you got something out of it. Steak is calling my name at this point. So I want to say thank you again. Check out, if you want to get involved in one of the live classes with me, go to headlinemastery.com. That is the very low priced entry point to the whole Copy Essentials course. So very good to check that out. And I thank every one of you for showing up, and I look forward to seeing you on YouTube. And in the next live, we'll be at 10,000, man. So spread the channel around if you don't mind. Share it with your friends if you think it would help them. And I want to say thank you again. Have a great night.